for this video, you should have already checked 3-1. So you should be checking your answers now. Please pause the video for people to check. And remember that you had to label and circle. So both of those parts you need to check. So for our notes for today, we are on topic 3.2. If people are not ready, please pause the video and allow them to get their notes out. So we have all of the angle pairs we talked about on Friday right here, and they ask us which types of angle pairs were congruent. So I'm actually going to start with supplementary because supplementary is easier to remember. Remember, supplementary is same side. So same side interior and same side exterior are my supplementaries, and they all start with S's. Same side sup, same side sup. So all the rest of them that are left, alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, and vertical, are all the congruent options. So alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, and vertical are all congruent. The only ones that are not congruent, that are supplementary starts with an S, same side starts with an S. So all of those are related. So for example 1, they ask us to use the figure below to identify the angle pair and tell whether they are congruent or supplementary. So this is just like the assignment that you were supposed to do this weekend. So angle 1 and angle 5. So the first thing I notice is that they are on opposite sides of that transversal. So I'm looking at an alternate something. Now, when I look, remember, interior is everything between the parallel lines, and those are not interior, so therefore they must be alternate exterior. The only ones that are supplementary are same side, so these must be congruent. Angle 2 and angle 3. Whoop, let me erase this real quick. So, angle 2 and angle 3, I immediately notice that these are on the same side of the transversal, so same side. And then these are on the inside, so same side interior. And remember, same side is the only one that has supplementary for the measurements. So, for example 2, they tell us that L and M are parallel, which just means this is looking like everything else we've seen so far. Find the measures. So they tell me angle 3 is 115. Find angle 5. So I need to figure out how are these related. So angle 3 and angle 5 are alternating between, the transversal. So these are alternate interior because they're both on the inside of those parallel lines. Now we know that unless they are same side, they are congruent. So this one is also going to be 115 degrees. So I label what I know, I identify the angle pair, and I either solve if they add to 180 or I say that they are congruent. So the next one, angle 1 up here, and they want angle 7 down here. They tell me angle 1 is 130. So when I look at angles 1 and 7, they are on alternate sides of that transversal. And we have one that is inside, they are both outside because remember all of this is the interior and neither of them are inside of that. So alternate exterior we know is congruent. So if measure 1 is 130, then measure 7 is 130 because those angles are congruent. Now they ask me about measure 8 and measure 3. So I have measure 3 here and measure 8 here. Now this one, when we look at our angle pairs, they're not on the same side, so it has to be alternate interior or alternate exterior. But if you notice, 3 is on the interior where 8 is not. So this is actually not an angle pair. However, we can still find out what measure 3 would be. If you remember, those yellow, we said 3 and 5 are the same. 3 and 5 are the same. So we know if we can find 5, then we can find 3. Now, if you notice, that transversal makes a straight line. So 5 and 8, we know angle 5 is congruent to angle 3. Angle 5 and angle 8 make a linear pair because they are on a line together. So angle 5 and angle 8 would add to 180 because lines add to 180. So if measure 8 is 47, I could plug that in and solve. So the measure of angle 5 is going to be 133 degrees. And then because angle 3 and angle 5, we set up here, are alternate interior and are congruent, then angle 3 is also going to equal 133. So because that one's a little weird, let me explain it one more time. They asked me originally about the blue angles, angle 3 and angle 8. Now, when I look at 3 and 8, there is no relationship between them, so I can't immediately do something. So I have to get a little more creative. Now, they tell me, or we noticed, that 3 and 5 are alternate interior and therefore are congruent. So if I can find 5, it would be the same for 3. I also noticed that 5 and 8 are on a line together, and we have linear pairs. So 5 and 8 would make a linear pair, which adds up to 180. So I set that up, plug it in, and solve. Example 3 asked me to find the value of x. So in order for me to find the value of x, two things can happen. These angles can be congruent, so therefore they are equal, or they can be same side supplementary, and they can add to 180. So first we have to figure out what type of relationship we see here. So I notice I have something in this angle and this angle. They are on differing sides of that transversal. So next I'm going to see if they are both inside, and they are. So these are alternate interior angles, which means they are congruent or the same. If they are the same, it means that they are equal, so I can set them equal to each other. So again, that angle relationship helps me figure out what to do. Because I know that alternate interior angles are equal or congruent, I set them equal to each other, and now I'm going to solve. So I add x to both sides. 3x minus 10 equals 65. And then add 10 to both sides. So 3x equals 75. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And x equals 25. Now just to double check, they've only asked me to find the value of x, so I'm finished with that problem. Example 4, they're asking me to do something similar. So first I need to figure out the relationship between these angles. If you notice on these angles, they are on the same side. So next I need to see if they are both on the interior, and they are not. So now I need to see if they're both on the exterior, and they are not. So these angles are on the same side, but not same side interior and not same side exterior. So next I need to look at, are they corresponding? Well, this angle is in the bottom left, and this angle is in the bottom left. Remember on Friday we talked about a set of tables, and this angle is in the same spot as this angle. So because these angles are corresponding and not same side interior or exterior, you have to fit both parts. Since they are corresponding, we will set them equal to each other. So x plus 80 equals 5x. And then from here, I'm going to solve for x again. So 80 equals 4x. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals 20. And they've asked me to find the value of x, so I'm done with that problem. The rest of this is talking you or just telling you to work on your assignment. So just to talk it through really quickly, they want you to identify the pair, then find the missing angle. So you might want to write same side equals supplementary. So you can remember that means they would add to 180. When you identify the angle pair, that would go here, and then the measure of the angle that they're asking for, that question mark, would go there. So your options are either that it's going to be the same, or that the angle plus the missing angle equals 180, and you will have to solve. These are your only two options. Same thing on 5 through 8. Identify the angle pair, solve for the question mark. Same thing on 9 through 12, except this time we have x's involved. Remember, a box means 90 degrees. So you really need to make sure you're identifying those angle pairs. Again, your only options are that they're the same, so you set them equal to each other, or they're supplementary, so you add them and they equal 180. Same thing on 13 through 16, and then you should be done with your assignment.